migration, one of the next large migrations will be when we can get the IU extension, and our IT team certainly is preparing for that in place. So then we continue from there to develop the benchmarks and milestones, because it's then that we will begin working on the criteria, measure where the criteria has changed from 5 to 4. Nothing has gone away, they just condensed. And so Roger, our Director of Institutional Research, is working on a crosswalk, which again we're talking about under the accreditation update. But that crosswalk really helps us visualize how the application flows into eligibility, flows into the criteria, and really do some practices, visual compliance. It all has to come together. And so there's a lot of work to be done on accreditation. And again, we have one finish line that begins in December. So more to come on that, and we'll certainly keep you posted. And again, tied to this focus area, tied to institutional compliance. So you see that reflected throughout these focus areas. And then we continue to want to celebrate our successes. We want our faculty and staff and all of our community partners to know the successes that we're having here at our college, so we'll continue to support those. Pollution is another focus area. We really want to begin testing registrations and our CRM that works all together. We want to start doing that this fall. Testing happens with some students that have to do that role, right? They won't be live at Gillette Community College District, but they'll start walking them through the system and following the track. So we look forward to doing that. There's other modules, of course, the finance team talked about some other software potentially that we're tying in pollution, which highlighted the recordings and the detailed recording, audits, financial reports. So we continue to say that we are very close to finishing the food module, and that can we have to stay in a test environment, pollution, until we're finished candidacy, or until we can disperse federal financially. We can't make that, we can't go live until we can disperse, again, because it all ties together. And then, of course, we have the center, the NZ Center for Applied Learning, which will be a big lift for Gillette Community College District. The RFQ is out. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll have conceptual designs, and we are already working on capital campaign preparation. Institutional leadership is an area that we're all very interested in. We want to build our bench. We want to create depth within the bench across the campus. Who comes next into leadership roles? And so that's part of what we've seen reflected in my goals as well. And what is the executive leadership do we need to be doing both internally? What consultants do we need to be working with to ensure that we're providing the leadership pathways for those who are at the institution to go to the next level within their career, within their own career path. And so we look forward to ensuring that we have that available and ready. We now have institutional research. We are so excited to start seeing data. We have no idea how much data that we're getting, but I still look forward to sharing with you. Yesterday we took a look back at all of our programs, the 26 programs that we have approved through the Wyoming Community College Commission, to look at that historical enrollment in those programs. We've never had access to that data before. So we now have access to Mars, is that correct, Roger?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, so all of the data that we can look at. There are certain things that we still don't have access to just because they're still shared with students, but where we have much more access. We'll talk about enrollment numbers here a little bit more, but with data it becomes responsibility on how we use it and the responsibility that we have to protect personally identifiable information, and we don't want to cause harm to anybody with the data that we're researching and utilizing to put students, of course, at the center of what we do, but also to make sure that our programs have what they need to make improvements or assessment, those types of things. So that will all happen this year. The data governance policy and procedures, IT and IR are working together on that, because it really is all about who has access to it and how is that managed and stored. So work continues on that. This year we really want to finalize what is the IT software we need in addition to what we already have. We have some needs in areas. Some of that is retention software, such as Starfish you see listed there. Do we have Maxient, which is Guardian, is our students tracking. So if the student has a concern, or if there's been a disciplinary action on campus, it's the software that we use to track that. And we have already migrated over to Guardian because Sheridan has. But is that the system we want to keep? We have to make those decisions this year. And then, of course, staffing. Staffing is an ongoing ongoing work. Of course, we now have Chantal Moore heading up our HR department, doing really fantastic work. And we want to review and assess our hiring processes. How do we hire, onboard, all of those things? So we'll be looking at that too. How do we structure our search committees? How do we appoint people to those committees? We have used the evaluation tool now for the first time. All of the faculty and staff have gone through the evaluation process. We have to go back and take a look at that. The tool is a nice tool, but is it getting to what we really want to see in the evaluation process? The faculty have some concerns about it. I can see why they have concerns about it. In fact, one of our faculty said early on, it just doesn't give us what we need. And I'm kind of gone through the tool now, I understand that. So we'll put some committees together to review the evaluation tool, so it serves the purpose for everybody. And then, of course, strategic planning assessment is ongoing, and we'll continue to work on that. So those are the focus areas at the cabinet level that we have certainly put together and that we look forward to moving through and working on. So, questions on that?
Questions for trustees? Yeah, thank you. Yes, well done, fairly in depth, and thank you to you and your entire staff, your entire cabinet, I guess is the right word. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I guess a question along those lines, along this, where do we stand with faculty senate in terms of, are they back and staffed and, not staffed, that's the right word, elected, fully elected, and?
I have not been made aware of officers being elected.
Okay.
So we'll continue to put their report on our agenda, so certainly up to the faculty to elect their officers and move forward. So the deans are aware of the work that they will need to work on should they not have faculty senate, because that voice is important, so we'll gather it in another way. So,
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I'm going to finish my report and we'll jump to Mr. Fulton.
Yeah.
So the other piece on your table are the QR codes for registration into the regroup system. This is our emergency notification system. And so this is how, if we have an emergency on campus, if something is going on, we have to close a building or close campus, this is the system we use to notify. So you are welcome to sign up for this. If you would like to, you can use Apple or Samsung to register either way. But if you have difficulty getting registered for it, certainly our IT team can help you with that. So Chairman Grafton had mentioned the reader board with the clock.
Yeah.
So those are that's all tied to the alerted system. Again, those are internal emergency notifications, so those yellow boxes. If there's an emergency, a weather warning, what have you, we can cue those to make an alarm. It's the same system the city has within their buildings. The reader boards will scroll a message across the reader board. There's an audible sound, and then when the emergency will clear. And so there is, I believe, 75 of those across campus in every building across campus. So we're very pleased to have that system. We've never had a system here like that. So it's a much more robust alert system. All of the students will have access to regroup. Of course, they're still NWCCD students, so we still work with NWCCD for emergency notifications. So, questions on that?
I have two. Would you like us to sign up for the regroup, or no, would you rather one way or the other?
It is entirely up to you.
Okay.
I typically, if there's an emergency on campus, I try to get a message out to you as quickly as I can. But if you want it in real time and live, the regroup would be the way, because I can get caught up in something and not be able to get a message out to you as quickly as you would like. So certainly up to you.
And the other question on Alertus, because I don't know, is that the same? Does the school district use Alertus as well, or do they use it, or no?
I don't know what the school system uses. There's blue boxes. I just know
They are.
they're blue boxes, which I think is a different system than what we have.
Okay.
So.
Excellent.
The other piece that I would leave you with, because now we have some access to data, we can give you this information in real time. So our institutional research, director of institutional research, Roger Humphrey, gave me updated enrollment numbers. These are preliminary numbers. They're as of this morning. It takes 48 hours to update. So as of right now, we have, our overall head count is at 911 students. Keeping in mind we have not enrolled concurrent enrollment students yet. Typically, concurrent enrollment students anywhere between 600 to 650. So by the time we're enrolling, and we continue to enroll full-time students, we continue to do that throughout this week and into next week. Our head count, we're predicting to be between 1,500 to 1,600 students by the time we're done enrolling, which gets us back to 2022 head count. 2022, fall 2022. And these are all phone numbers. We'll take counts, Roger will capture counts on the first day. So we'll have a count taken on the first day, and then the 10-day count happens as well. Our concurrent enrollment students don't show up until end of semester. Okay, does that make sense?
What's nice about that is it's 48 hours instead of 48 days.
Yeah, exactly. So we're very excited. Roger's working on reports right now on lots of different data points. Certainly going to be helpful for assessment, going to be helpful for us when we begin to look at programs. At some point, we'll even get down to course order. So it's just going to be much more robust and certainly much more data-informed decision making, which is really important. So professional development week is happening right now. Our faculty are in sessions yet today and I believe tomorrow, and we're going to have time to prepare for classes. We have convocation on Friday. Students are moving in. Athletes came back from Blackhill State earlier this week. GCCD comes home today from their fall retreat. Jane will talk more about that. And it's so exciting to have students back on campus. So we had a great post-family event last night, so a lot of energy back on campus. So we're pleased to have our faculty back, pleased to have students coming back on campus. So with that, I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for Dr. Oakland? Great report. So for everybody, we're going to circle back to for the good of the district and Mr. Bo Corkins, Innovation Grant Update. Thank you for coming. And how did your last presentation go?
Oh, wonderful.
Good. Thank you for making time for us.
Yes. Thank you, Renee. Yeah, just gave a talk about this. First year experience is basically what students go through, everything in their first year that we try and do for them. Orientation, bridge programs, first year seminars, like all those things. I developed, specifically with the President's Innovation Grant from last year, I developed a course, first year seminar. And this is not a new concept. First year seminars are at 80% of all institutions, and we have one, right? But it is only optional. 15 years ago, Miranda and I went through some pretty heavy training about how to teach first year seminars, and so we were way ahead of the curve. Now our first year seminar is optional, and it hasn't been taught in 5+ years, and we're behind the curve again. Now 59% of all institutions have these required. They're part of the gen eds, and they're required for student success. Jamie even told me when she got back from a conference that the person at the conference said, if you don't have a first year seminar for your students, you are failing your students. And so I am a big proponent of this. I took one when I was in college 25 years ago. I was like, and so they have been around. This is not a new experience. Every number we love, right, that we measure, right? Student persistence, student retention, graduation rates, completion rates, they all tie directly to first year seminars. And so I'm a big proponent of this, having been through one, having gone through this training way back when, and wanting to get this implemented again. So I developed a lot of content that basically to get this course up and running again. And this is a long-term project. Since we can't really implement this as part of our GEs until we are fully accredited. But I'm going to run a pilot course fall 25. And so that's what this course is. I've created an FYS advisory board. The agenda of our first meeting, which we just had this summer, is on there. We have 2 more in fall and 2 in the spring. So and probably 1 next summer. So we're going to have 6 meetings refining the course content of things that we want taught in this course. And then we're going to roll out a pilot of 3 sections. We planned at our first meeting to get that rolling. The biggest problem, and we're going to have biggest enrollment and advising push this hard because this is an optional course. So we have to really sell this course, and that was part of the presentation I just gave, is that students only take what's required. That's why an optional first year seminar is just a failure, all right? And we are currently failing our students, but we're not gonna be for long. We're gonna push this as this is what we want the students to need, and since, I happen to be married to the advisor of the college, she's gonna really push to make sure that we get lots of enrollment in this course, and I'm super excited for this pilot, and I just love some of the stuff that I developed in this course we're all best practices. Again, this is not something new, all right? I developed this all based on best practices. I want to talk just a few that are in that document. One of my favorites, students are required to apply for a scholarship. Seems like something super easy, and they just don't. So one of the assignments, students were required to apply for a scholarship. One of the other ones, students are required to join a club. There's a whole activity in there about they have to go to the club fair that we have. They have to then decide on a club that seems interesting, and then they have to go to an event of that club, and then they pick a club to join, all right? And reasons why. First year seminar also creates sense of belonging for students, and joining a club, it's one of the biggest things that we have, all right? Everything from Phi Theta Kappa to the Creative Writing Club. We have so many academic and non-academic clubs, Skills USA, all right? Whatever the clubs are, we want them to have points of contact. And that's one of the pieces of FYS. The other one I really love is just the initial alphabet soup activity on there. What students need to know, all right? Can you guys do any of those? ROI is the toughest one. As an adult, it's return on investment. And I got that wrong too. There's an answer key on the second page for the tough ones. ROI, I was like, return on investment. I didn't even know that one. It's like, for a student, it is release of information. So,
When I see free FA, I'm thinking free agent. I don't think that's right either.
that's fall.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that just means fall semester. FA is just one that they see a lot for fall. Okay, I think that was pretty much it. And I wanted to thank Dr. Oberlander for giving the grant and setting this up. And I am super excited. Our initial goal is we're piloting this obviously next fall. All right, we'll probably run pilots all the way until we get accredited and get this implemented as a gen ed. And fall 27 is when I hope this is rolled out college-wide, all students required to take this. You guys have any questions?
I assume this is similar to Saddle Up for the University of Wyoming, which is required for all freshmen. Do you have any knowledge of that? Or where freshmen are required to go down a week early, and it's
So,
who's currently doing this, and it seems similar.
my college had what they called WOW, Week of Welcome. That's orientation.
Okay.
All right, this course is broken up 30% extended orientation, which will be a lot of review of what they've already seen, 40% academic preparedness, and 30% college resources exposure. So there is a lot of orientation elements in this, 100%, all right? But it goes beyond that. Because orientation, week of welcome, saddle up, those are all parts of a student's first year experience. They all encompass that. First year seminar is just one piece of many things we do to create those sense of belonging, those lines of communication, those mentorships. The other thing this does, first year seminar creates a immediate mentorship between the student and the teacher because we teach them all about the resources and ways to succeed in college. Help with their registration. Yet another hardcore point of contact where I know their name. You know, I have a teacher, but boy, my math teacher is really scary. I don't know if I want to go to that person. But oh, this first year seminar teacher, I really like them. So.
And you say it's optional first year, but you'd like it to be required by 27.
Yes, it is currently optional on our books. In order to make this required, it needs to be part of gen eds. And 59, that's what I said, 59% of colleges have this as a required piece of their 30 credits or 15 credits, depending on AAS, 35 credits required as part of their gen eds.
Okay. Dr. Linder, sorry, I saw you raise your hand.
I just have a point. So
Okay.
trustees don't just-
Thank you, and I think that the course outline looks great. I am curious curious, I'm sure that we have some students who are non-traditional, working, maybe single mothers, for example, that joining a club or doing some of these things may be a real stretch for them. So just something I think is worth considering if we do make it mandatory. There may be some people who this is, maybe they don't need this as badly, and it's going to cause them to be on the teetering point of whether they can complete their coursework or not.
That's an excellent point, and that has been brought up. So biggest thing, don't want this to be a barrier.
Right.
Okay, but if this is part of Gen Eds, it is required for everyone. There are no exceptions. Whether you're and there is nothing in that course that someone won't learn something from.
Sure, I'm
100
just saying what clubs.
As far as the joining of the clubs,
Right.
now the assignment is get exposure to clubs and you are required to join one. Do you ever have to go back? No. But the point is that they saw it and they signed their name up. I can't make them go back, right? But they joined it and they know it's there. Now, this isn't gonna solve all problems ever, right? But if one of the best practices is they joined that club, they never have to go back. But at least, I mean, something like, it's 10 to 20% become full-fledged members, and they're in every event from then on. I was like, but it's just like everything with our students. I mean, you can't, we open the door, we push them through the door, I even make them sign the dotted line this time, but the choice will be theirs. So as part of that course, yeah, they'll join the club. They don't ever have to go back.
Thanks.
Does a club have to be on campus? Can it be like Kiwanis?
This was initially made for on-campus clubs. We have a part in this course that is community engagement, but currently I just have it as on-campus clubs. But I mean, that's a good question for the FYI sport. Jane, you're on that, right? Yeah. So we'll make a note of that.
So how about athletics? Is that a separate club? Like if you're a scholarship basketball player, I guess essentially you say you're part of a club. Is that not? Because that takes ancillary extra time away from.
Haven't made that final ruling.
Okay.
We could talk about that.
Okay, Trustee Anderson.
Is there first year seminar, first year experience courses currently offered?
So that currently on our books, we have HDMV 1010, Gateway to Student Success. That is what is currently on our books, and that's the pilot I'm going to run next fall. I'm going to use that course, Common Core syllabus, and currently on the books. When we remake this, we'll probably change the name, outcomes, things to that nature.
Are we currently offering Gateway?
We put it on the books, and then it never runs because it is optional. And it might be that way next fall. I'm hoping not.
Trustee Paul.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Corrigan, thank you for your passion. This is very exciting. It's I love your enthusiasm, and I think the course will be great. Anything that we can do to engage and help promote student success, I think is wonderful. I think this is the first step towards that. It's going to be 2 credit hours.
The proposal is 1 credit. It is currently 2 credits. This is the one that we have on the books that I was just telling Terry.
And it'll be a full semester.
Yes, we have lots of options. So I believe our current, that we just had our meeting, we are going to run 1 8 and 2 full semesters. So 1 first 8 week and then 2 full semester courses. And I mean, the goal is we run this year round. We might run this as part of the bridge program and a 4 week. We're going to run it in summer. I mean, this is something that runs nonstop once we get this rolling.
Well, continued success.
And you know me from when we were canvassing. You know when I pick a passion, I go all out.
That's why I'm enthusiastic about your passion. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Williams.
Trustee, how do you assess at the end in terms of, chemistry is easy because you got to pass the test. So how do they pass the test at the end of the year?
Of this course?
Of this course.
This course is more activity-based than it's attendance, activity. Again, this is a pretty light academic rigor course. I was like, did they apply for the scholarship? Did they do it correctly? Building a resume is another one. Did they build a resume? Right? Did they actually join a club? I was like, this is about making sure they did these things and got involved. Are you aware of where the library is? Right, we're at the end of the semester. Do you know? Like those, it's not going to be. This is not rigor intensive. There's like some journal assignments and things like that, but this is not a heavily rigor course. This is we need to expose them to things to make them successful. Teaching them soft skills, grammar, some basic writing. All right, fiscal responsibility.
Any other questions?
Chair Bowman, or Chair McGrath.
Just getting exhausted.
Almost. Sorry, I apologize. Chair McGrath, not a quick comment. One, thank you for applying for the innovation grant. I think you've had a very successful opportunity to bring forward your passion. The only comment I would make is I'd encourage you to work with our executive director of the foundation, and maybe there's some scholarship support for those first students going through who, since we're piloting this, maybe we find a way to pay for that first cohort to go through. I think that might be a great partnership for you to take a look at.
Okay.
So, right? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I would finish up by, as somebody who is huge on community give back and being involved in the community, I think this is the first step to encourage them down there. You join a committee, you're already giving yourself or agreeing to do something ancillarily to just studying and going through. And I love the extra grammar skills and the things that you talked about. I think those are real life skills that are wonderful. So I personally am super excited about this. I think it's great.
Me too.
Anybody else?
No, I think it's wonderful, and oh my gosh, I'm dying here over the actual line from resumes. These are hilarious.
The actual lines from resumes are very impressive. Yeah, there's some entertaining ones
They're
there.
really, really funny, oh my goodness. But yeah, your enthusiasm just goes through. I can't even imagine that faculty or students will pick up on your infectiousness of this. And I think, I think.
That's why
I want to take this one.
That's why I teach math.
Well, great job.
Any other questions for Mr. Corkins?
It's really good.
Well, thank you very much.
Hey.
Well done.
It's good to see you all again. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day.
Take care. Moving back to the academic and student affairs update, Dr. Spriggs. A lot of energy to follow, Dr. Spriggs.
Well, I don't want to get started now. You don't want to get me started. So,
We look forward.
Chair McGrath, trustees, and I think Bo did lead into the focus areas and the major focus of being student-centered. As you know, our first priority is student-centeredness. So intentionally and purposely, we are looking for methodology strategies in order to execute that strategic plan. One of the biggest areas, of course, when we're looking at student success is professional development. And I know we've already had conversations about that, but with 90% of our faculty in the past year participating in state, regional, and national type of organizations, that's the start for student success. To get out there, to see what else is out there, to see, as Mo mentioned briefly, Dean Fashbaugh and Ashley Corkins attended the first year experience in Seattle this past year, which also brought back some information that helped to lead to what's out there as best practices. We have been doing a lot of work in that regard. We had 6 people go to No Levis conference that really focused on strategic enrollment and recruitment methodologies, as well as foundation was part of that, and marketing, to bring back those best practices, or at least to understand when is going to be our time to implement. And sometimes we may find out information, but it's just not that time. But at least we gain that particular knowledge. There's been excessive training in regards to Lucian, as the president mentioned. When I say extensive, it is extensive, in regards to curriculum and putting our programs in the system in preparation, putting all of our courses in there for production, that production environment, as well as ensuring that the rules that we are going to actually implement, simply, how many times can a student take a course over? Okay, that's going to be built in order to bring us those flags, in order for us to respond. Over the summer, we've had some groups meet, Open Education Resources, or what you may hear as OER, team that was led by Sam Griffiths. That team really is examining, and they're part of an institute, a year-long institute, where they did pretty much outline what our plans, our action plan is for the upcoming year. And OER is really looking at materials that already exist out there and bringing them together for the instructor. So the instructor has real-time information, as well as one of the major purposes of OER is to reduce costs to the student. Okay? So we know that students, they don't come to class. Sometimes the credits they're paying is cheaper than the book that they're buying. So we want to remove those barriers. And we do have faculty as well as the director of the library moving forward with that. So we don't want students to say, yeah, I'd like to go to college, but geez, that book's $265. Geez, tuition's only this much. So that's going to be helpful. It'll also be helpful for a faculty to have up-to-date information. I mean, simply put, when books are published, you already know they're behind a good 2 years normally. And we want our students to be prepared as much as they possibly can as to what's going on in the real world. And another group that met this summer was AI. And Dean Fashball actually spearheaded that committee and really looking to examine our policies and our procedures in relation to AI. And particularly, we started looking at a lot of procedures this past summer within academic and student affairs. And who do we want to be? Not just taking the ones from NWCCD, but who are we based on our resources, our mission, our vision, and our philosophy in regards to students. But AI, particularly in regards to plagiarism, is something that we have to teach our students. It's something that we also have to provide guidance for them in our syllabus. What are the best practices out there? So that committee, I know they're providing professional development this week also, and to get more feedback. And this is one of the areas where we're doing a real good job of what we might call participatory governance. And we simply put, it's starting from the ground up with our faculty and our staff. And it's staff and faculty, it's not just the faculty. I mean, we have people in IT as well as in MSHA and across the board that's helping develop these policies and procedures and recommendations. And they will come up through the process until the institution and finally be endorsed by the Board of Trustees. But it is a very important time because we don't want students to be removed because they didn't know any better. And very easily, you can actually get 2 hits against you in regards to plagiarism. The next one, you're gone as to how policies and procedures are established. So a lot of research is going on in that area, has been going on in that area over the summer. In addition, we've been working on the academic plan and the enrollment management plan. And both of these plans really are going to be informing the strategic plan. You remember the strategic plan? We broke things down to tactics. And now how are we going to operationalize that? And the academic plan, each school within our academic arena will be, and arts and sciences have got a jump start on this, develop their own mission and vision that leads into the institutional mission and vision as to what students can expect. If you remember, as the president mentioned, convocation is Friday. And one of the pieces of convocation is to bring in that sense of belonging as to the number of areas that in this institution a student belongs to before they even start. So we'll go from the school they belong to the program, to individual advisors, just so we can show you belong to a school, not only a college, but a school within the college and within their program, and to start building those networks and those relationships before they even start classes next week. As part of the enrollment management plan, it's not only about who can we recruit, the number of students we get in there, but who are we retaining? It's about retaining, and in turn, we know it's much easier and much cheaper to retain than it is to recruit. And a number of the tactics, and we mentioned Starfish as an example, as a platform we'll be examining. That's again to have that student be part of a larger community, for us to give them the kudos in real time as well as flags if we believe that this person hasn't shown up, and not wait for the care report to be written and assessment to be made and then try to find them a week later, but to work in real time. A part of that, we also have to look at that residence life curriculum and start really solidifying that and student affairs assessment. And a lot of times when you think of assessment, you think of programs only, and academic programs, which has been outlined through HLC and everywhere else. But one of the biggest areas of really having that student retain, and similar to what Bo was mentioning, was do they belong? Do they feel like they belong here? So are we intentionally having certain activities and have certain venues so that they do belong and they feel that they belong? Expanding our activities, which we did bring on a student activities coordinator, which is going to be beneficial to expand these activities out of the main building into different buildings across campus, as well as consistently have those activities in their face. If they're leaving class and going to the parking lot, we want them to stop. And in turn, we also want to have intention as to what we expect that student to get out of this particular activity and assessing that type of thing. So overall, we'll continue to look at our student-centeredness. We'll continue to make sure that students are in front. The curriculum committee will be focusing on our portfolio. Our portfolio as to those 26 course programs that went through. Are they the programs we want to actually keep pushing? Okay, looking at that data. During this time also, before we even get to that initial accreditation, are the other programs we want to move forward to the commission for review and ready to flip whenever we receive accreditation. As well as that bachelor's program, and time and energy being placed on that by all means as we're moving forward. Our assessment committee, the bottom line is that do our programs really prepare students? Are we really giving them what we say we're giving them overall? And those course outcomes, those program outcomes, as well as our institutional learning outcomes, we will be reviewing it to ensure that some of the things that we promise, that we have indicators of those, and we can show that type of information if asked. So overall, we'll continue to work with that. I mean, in the summertime, of course, we had Area 59 doing their thing with Verizon. We had a number of course, Shaw still doing their trainings. But one of the biggest things in the last couple of weeks that we did was really look at our workforce and community development area and began to, develop a calendar, specifically targeting that community development piece. So we took that up through and cabinet, and honestly, we have programs ranging from fly fishing, okay, which is the personal development aspect that we really have to consider with our community and everything, from leadership to technical to business and entrepreneurship categories, as well as solar. So what we attempted to do was really get a large breadth of areas as to, we may not get it right the first time, we may not get the people, but we want the community to know that these are opportunities, There are opportunities from the small engine repair to cooking. And cooking for a big family compared to cooking for two, cooking healthy. I have to go to that one. But being able to really examine where we're at, and what does community want from us? Briefly we talked about literature appreciation. That will be something that we'll actually still examine. But sometimes things come and they go, and we know that we have to be fluid in these types of respects. But by the same token, we do a great job, honestly, in that technical aspect of that workforce and community development. We want to bring up that community aspect of it as we're moving through this year. Another thing is that we have hired on a chemistry instructor. We'll wait for January to make sure they come. And business, both these have been 2 years in the making, honestly. We also have hired on, as mentioned, a student activities person and a professional advisor for CTE, which is a little different model than what you may see normally as centralized advising, where we're placing those advisors into the academic schools itself in order for those advisors to have that contact. In other words, the CTE advisor will be over here, will be placed over here around the faculty, be able to go into the classroom, to learn the classroom, so students are actually saying, what's this class about? That they can actually tell, hands-on, that communication is constant for that particular student, as well as that advisor can give feedback to the faculty, if people are trying to avoid them or avoid classes. So all that is going to be a reciprocal relationship in order for us to prepare our students the best we can and provide them the best service we can. So overall, we'll continue to focus on that student, and we'll continue to pivot when we need to, and really prepare that student the best we can with as many different angles and strategies as we can, which leads to their success in some form or fashion. Any questions?
Any questions, Dr. Sure, an observation. I think, here it is in August. It was 3 years ago that we had a special election at a campus, at a new district. And I just think about how far we've come and how much work has gone into it. And Dr. Spriggs, you, Dr. Leonard, and everybody in this room has done just a phenomenal job of getting us to where we're at. I'm just holding on.
It's a great sentiment, thank you. Anybody else?
Chairman Grant, I would just make an observation, and certainly Dr. Spriggs oversees this area, but the enrollment numbers that we see are really the result of a lot of people's hard work. And on the front line, we have 2 people, and we have more helping with the advising process, but those folks who are in the trenches every day, helping students apply, helping students with financial aid, helping them get into classes, they're really on the front line every day, all year long. So I give a shout out to that team, Geneva, Christian, Ashley, Aileen, they just have done a phenomenal job. Rachel's coming in as financial aid director, getting up to speed, but working hard not to miss a beat to serve our students. And they all fall under the umbrella of Dr. Spriggs' operations. So they've done a phenomenal job.
Thank you, Dr.
All right, thank you all.
And we give it 2 years ahead.
3 years, yes. Athletic Director, Jean Rita.
Chairman Grant, as Jamie comes to the podium, I just want to give you an update. We made some organizational change. And so when we started our path down with athletics, Jamie was reporting to Dr. Spriggs, a direct report. As Dr. Spriggs and I reviewed and took a look, there's so much work that athletics has to do directly with the president, from signing the LOIs to contracts with the GCCD and the NRIA. And so Jamie in the organization now reports directly to me. So athletics now falls under me. In exchange, Dr. Spriggs took the direct report for the Director of Financial Aid, which is where it should be anyway. But again, when we get to the U.S. Department of Education work, I will certainly be circling because, again, there's work that the president has to do with that process. So just wanted you to know that Jamie and the athletic department now falls under organizational chart. So look at that. Director.
Jean Rita.
Fantastic. Trustee McGrath, Chair McGrath, trustees, Dr. Oberlander, thanks for having me today. I'm very excited to be here to provide some athletic updates. I don't know if I can match Bo's energy as well, but I'll give it my best. Just a segue from Bo's presentation, first year experience was one of my favorite classes. It was one that was absolutely ingrained in me at Weber State. It was one of the most beneficial courses that I had as a student athlete and as an incoming freshman. I took those skills from that course all the way through my educational journey and still use some of those soft skills today. And so I jumped all over the opportunity to work closely with Bo on this first year experience process to consider some of those unique populations that you brought up, the athletic population. There's so many things that can be from that course, and I have a strong, future foreseeing here that he's going to have high enrollment in that because it's going to be pushed from our department because of how important that is, and that opportunity to just be ingrained right away will be advocated strongly from the athletic department. So I'm excited for that. You spoke on one of the things was the community piece. Our first year experience course had a community service proponent to it. So it was fantastic. I really look forward to that. So I just wanted to add that little tidbit because we're really excited for that opportunity coming up. So some athletic updates. I've got a few different things. I first wanted to start with some of our new departmental hires. One of our most beneficial hires right now is we hired a barn manager. So Mark Swanky joined us this summer, and he oversees the facility, the rodeo and ag complex, which is huge. He has had a project in front of him this summer, and he has done a phenomenal job. We're getting the place cleaned up and really looking sharp as our athletes are coming back right now. And he just is going to be pivotal to the student athlete experience and the overall student experience out there and the community piece. He's done an amazing job. We look forward to see his progress out there as he continues to serve our students out at the Rodeo Ag Complex. Having him is just phenomenal. So if you get an opportunity to welcome him or check out the arena recently, like we've had some major upgrades out there with the lighting. Our facilities team has done an amazing job. Our grounds crews have. And so we're just really excited about how that facility is shaping up and to service our students. So we're looking forward to continuing to see his work. We also hired a new assistant women's volleyball coach. Megan Sands joins us this year. Jordan relocated, our previous coach relocated with her fiance. And so we could, that happened. So Megan Sands is joining us here as an assistant volleyball coach. She comes from a background of coaching club level as an assistant and had played volleyball and softball, and we look forward to having her. She's the partner of Terrence, our men's basketball assistant coach. So we've got a family affair going, so it's great. Lou Jenkins has been hired as an assistant women's basketball coach. He's been super active, huge supporter of athletics. He was watching sports here previously and has just ingrained himself in the department and has been a huge asset to our women's basketball program. He works in our bookstore on campus too, and so he just has some of those connections right away to service students and be close to where they are. So that's a fantastic addition as well. And lastly, we also hired Sydney Hansen, returns as our assistant women's basketball coach as well, and they are splitting some duties. Sydney, formerly Sydney Prather, was one of our athletes in 1920. She was an athlete that was affected by the separation.
2019, 2020,
Yes.
just so that we had some
Sorry.
questions. She's not that old.
Yeah, my fault. 2019, 2020 season. Yeah, 29.
Her and Ella played high school all together.
Yes. 2019, 2020 season. My fault. And so she was one that was affected by the cuts. She didn't get to continue here as a Gillette College Pronghorn. So she had to move on, and she had every intention of coming back and being a huge asset. Yeah, and here she is. And so this is one of my favorite stories. This speaks to what athletics can bring to the community and that effect that Gillette College has on people. She came back, and she fought hard to come back. And she's gone through the ringer at some of her other institutions, and here she is. And she brought with her spouse who works in industry. And so he's a diesel mechanic. And with her also comes her parents, who are also in industry. And so it's one of those fantastic segues that shows what athletics can bring. And her story is just, I'm happy she's back. And that she had the opportunity to continue as a Pronghorn. So we're looking forward to having her on staff. So some 23-24 highlights. And I know a lot of this information has already been brought forward, so I'll go over this part pretty quickly, but a couple of things that came out this summer. We had 15 student athletes receive academic All-American honors. That's a huge accolade. Rodeo does not fall into this because they don't have the obviously the NJCA academic All-American. So this is just considering soccer, basketball, and volleyball. But NJCA academic first team All-American are 4.0 GPAs, and we had 2 student athletes that received that accolade. NJCAA's second team All-American is 3.8 to a 3.99 GPA, and we had 3 in that category. And then we had All-American Academic third team, which is a 3.6 to a 3.79 GPA. We had 10 athletes fall into that area. Huge accomplishments. Our staff places a lot of emphasis on our academic success, and this shows in the sense that we had 15 recognized. And we had probably 10 that just came right short of that were still above that 3.5, that just weren't quite at that 3.6. As a department, preliminary, I'll get with Roger here because I'm a data person too, but preliminary, our approximate GPA from the athletic department was above a 3.0 as a group. So we were almost close to the 3.1 is where we were sitting collectively as a department. That's a huge, huge accomplishment, and I am so proud of my staff for the work that they put in emphasizing our study tables and utilizing the Success Center and being really active on if we had any red flags that we intervened and that we got students on the right track. And so we'll be able to calculate a little bit more graduation rates as we get going and really track that closely. That's really important to me to ensure that our student athletes are some of our top performers across the board. So huge accomplishment there. Another thing I wanted to highlight from our last year, and we're going to grow this number this year. That's my goal, to grow all these numbers. We had approximately 1,430 man-hours of community service that our athletic department did this last year. Various projects, all the way from helping with local sporting events, to reading at elementaries, to helping at the animal shelter, to community cleanup. We had a broad spectrum of community involvement, and we're looking forward to continuing those partnerships in the community. We're looking forward to having boots on the ground to help give back to the community that's provided us the opportunity to be here. So we're looking forward to growing that number as well. We had a lot of athletic accomplishments, and I won't go over too many of these, but we had in our first inaugural year under GCCD, to have students recognized on all region teams, honorable mention all region teams, to receive all defensive honors, to take place at the national level at the CNFR. Like, we just had some amazing athletic accomplishments too. And we look forward to building on those and growing across the board. And then to have a team in our inaugural year win the region championship. So North regular season champions, our men's basketball team, North regular season champions in our first year. Unbelievable. Huge lift for my staff, and they did amazing. I'm so proud of the work that they put forward, and we're excited to grow that. So any questions so far in any of those pieces?
I just had a couple comments.
Please.
First off, I'm so excited about the barn manager. I know that's been a stress for
Yes.
coach out there, and it's hard to keep up with both the maintenance and the team stuff. So I think that's a really great addition.
We're
So happy.
very excited about that, yes.
For sure. Second, just as a parent and community member, I have seen the teams out and about creating opportunities for kids and creating mentorship opportunities across our community, and it's awesome. Like, it is so awesome for those kids in our community to have these, student athletes to look up to and to learn from, and the opportunities it has created is really amazing. So very grateful for that as a parent and community member.
Thank you. We will definitely continue because it's just a huge piece to our students and their experience as well. Like, we can't replace that.
And
It's
I see them
unbelievable.
learning how to coach and
Yes.
learning life skills out
Yes.
there too, which I just think is such a great personal growth opportunity for them too. So.
Thank you.
Just another comment, I'm just really impressed about the emphasis of the academics along with the activities, and the fact that you had 15 athletes that were the academic All-Americans, and I think that is absolutely outstanding. I think there's a stigma a lot of times associated with college athletics and not really being tied to academic outcomes. But I think that that's absolutely wonderful that at Gillette College, that your team, and please pass that forward to them, the accolades of helping these athletes stay on track with their academics, because that's really what we're here to serve. We're really not here to get somebody to the NBA, but although that would be nice too, the Olympics, but.
With a 4.0 GPA.
Yeah.
Put 'em together.
But great job, and you did great with your enthusiasm. Yeah, Bo did not outshine you.
Thank you.
Russ, I've got a question, but I'll wait, are you?
I don't think you're done yet, so.
Yeah, I'm not done yet.
We gotta talk about 2020.
Yep.
All right, so let's get started.
All right, fantastic. So team updates for 2024-25 season. So we're pretty close to final numbers. I don't know, these coaches may bring somebody in this week. But right now I have updated numbers for us. So rodeo, we're sitting at about 20 athletes. We have 12 returners on our rodeo program. They're shaping up to look strong again this year and make another push at the national level. Men's soccer has 28 athletes, 15 returning, 13 of which are from the regular season. We do have some student athletes that join us that semester, and so 13 of those returners are from the regular season. Women's soccer has 23 athletes, 5 are returning, 3 from the regular season. Women's basketball, 15, 6 returning, 5 from the regular season. Men's basketball has 14, 6 returning, and all of them are from the regular season. Volleyball has 17 athletes. This is my biggest growth sport from where we were last year. Significant change in roster size there. 3 of which are returning, all from the regular season. Energy City Voices has 16 participating this year, which is a high uptick from last year as well, and we'll have 6 returning there. So our roster shaped out really nice this year. We'll still push to see some growth in some areas on rosters as we move forward, but very happy with where we ended right now. So that brings me to some pieces with being able to look at our student athlete population. I pulled some numbers that I think are really, really important. Aside from just general numbers, who are our students? Where do they come from? What's the demographic that makes up our student athlete population? So this is the high level one. This is the one that I'm the most excited about. We have multiple first generation college students. And I had given a number to the Booster Club earlier this week and went back and revisited with some additions, and that number's actually increased since the last time I spoke to some of you. And this is only data from the NJCAA on teams that have arrived to campus. So athletes, women's soccer, men's soccer, and volleyball is the data that I have currently on this. When my other athletes arrive on campus, we'll pull them and receive the rest of the data. So 25 first generation college students service between men's soccer, volleyball, and women's soccer. 25. 46% is the actual number on my men's soccer team that are first generation college students. 35% of my women's soccer team, first generation college students. 24% of my volleyball team, first generation college students. So those numbers are just absolutely amazing to me in the sense of our staff at Gillette College has provided that opportunity for students to make a really hard leap into coming to college for the first time. So I was excited about those numbers, and I'm looking forward to see how some of our other teams shape out as well as that data comes in over the next week when they get here. So the next one is our gender demographics. This one's really important to me from a Title IX perspective as well. We currently have approximately 55% of our I gotta take a look at how I did this. But we're sitting around 55 athletes are male, and then we're up in the 60s on female. So we're really close on our gender equality as well from a Title IX perspective. We're super close there. And ECV is right down the middle. So we have 8 and 8, so 8 females and 8 males. So we're super close from a gender perspective as well, which is really nice to see from an athletic department. Sometimes those numbers get a little skewed, so we're happy to keep them right where they're at. Location demographics is another one that I feel is really important to present and to understand. So I broke down all of my current rosters and where my student athletes are from. This one is a big one. I know this is important to the community, and so I'm tracking it very closely to see who we service. So 12% of our student athletes are from Campbell County. 12% are from Campbell County. We have 19% of our student athlete population, and this, I have ECV is also in here, but I need to get with my new ECV program and learn about our rosters there. So they're tentatively in here, so these numbers might change a little bit. But 19% are from Wyoming, and then regional. So our WUI states, so we're talking Utah, Idaho, Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota. Our surrounding regional athletes, 35% are regional student athletes. I think these are really important numbers. 34% encompass the rest of the United States and internationally. So we service our regional athletes our regional students pretty solidly. They're represented across the board. And I know we've made some huge pushes to recruit local and to really drive some of those pathways to promote our students in Campbell County to stay. Those are our first target students. And so we're working really hard on that relationship with our local high schools and our clubs to provide that pathway to Gillette College from an athletic standpoint and an academic standpoint. Huge push there. And then I just have some department goals that I wanted to present and just let you know kind of where the athletics department is looking to go for this upcoming year. So a big push is we are now encompassing with some of the completion of the strategic plan and enrollment management plans. The athletic strategic plan is also forthcoming, and all of those are going to be considered within the athletic strategic plan. Athletic policies, procedures are going to be shored up this year as well. Those are huge additions to make sure that we are overall encompassing and considering the other policies, procedures at the institutional level. All of those will be pulled into that strategic plan and those procedures from the athletic department side of things. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to continue to push academic success. One of my number one expectation for my staff is the student experience, and so academic success obviously falls into that. And we're pushing the involvement in activities. That's been brought up. We want them to be active across campus. And we have a good showing there, but we want to see improvement there. But we're partnering more with the Success Center. We're partnering more with library services to make sure that we are fully setting these students up to be successful academically and in their relationships across campus. Big push from our department this year. We're going to improve that number. I want to see an increase in our GPA, even though we did pretty good. We're still going to really push that to be home. And we're high focus on our relationship with the academics. I just presented today as part of professional development with collaborating with collegiate athletics and how academics and athletics and our staff and faculty are all going to come together and just create an absolutely amazing environment for these students, and how we're going to put in best practices to make sure that we're all working together and have the full picture of what we might need to do to help students be successful. We're also going to increase marketing and branding. Maggie's done a phenomenal job with us thus far. We're going to have some schedule posters out, which is going to be new this year. We're adding some of those pieces, and we're really going to push website and production, and we're just going to be more active from a marketing standpoint and from a social standpoint to make sure that people are more aware of our events this year. Now that we're up and running, we're gonna really try to drive some branding out, because we know that pushes the college brand as well. And so we're excited for that, and we're excited how we can build recognition, not only regionally, but nationally. Fan engagement and support goals. We want to obviously provide an environment that fans can be participatory in some events. So we've got some fun things planned this year around some of our events. We're going to continue to grow that. We also have some health and wellness goals. for our student athletes. We want to prioritize holistic environment for our student athletes. That's a big focus of ours. Mental well-being, mental health and wellness, physical health and wellness. We take care of that typically with some of our conditioning, but we want to look at the athlete from a holistic standpoint to ensure that they are taken care of as a whole. And then we have some community engagement goals as well. We want to provide more opportunities from athletics out to the community as well. And one of our first one that's coming up, we just had the host family meet and greet. So that's really specific to host families. But our Meet the Pronghorns event is coming up, and we want to see some more of those type of events coming out this year so that we can really drive some more of those community engagement pieces. So there's some of our overarching goals this upcoming year.
Excellent.
Questions?
But yeah, Trustee Williams.
I have 3 questions.
Fantastic.
Number 1, thank you guys for putting on the All-Star game.
Yes.
That was really tremendous. It was tremendous, number 1, because we beat Montana twice in the guys. And number 2, we are getting some athletes from Cheyenne who were part of that All-Star game.
Yes.
Really great kids, the talents, and I think that's one of the kids coming up here.
Yep.
And they were going to go to LCCC, I think.
They were.
They decided to come up here, and we will be blessed because they're here. And then number 2, have we thought about, as an institution, intramural programs yet for our students that still want to play a little bit of co-ed volleyball or a little bit of 3-on-3 basketball?
I have been a part of some of those conversations. Intramurals is something that potentially with the new activities coordinator, we have some opportunities there. And I'm not sure, but potentially.
It's potential. It's really the facilities in order to be able to organize when you have the athletic programs as well as trying to do intramurals and not just focus on intramurals on the weekends whenever
Yes.
they're gone. So it is something that we definitely look at. It's part of, last year we did a focus group, we wanted more physical activities, and that was one of the things that we were examining, but the logistics of it is something you have to definitely look at.
Good. And then the last one, I've had a lot of people suggest this. Talk this. Nell, when are we going to get hard copy programs?
I think I want to ask me about that too.
And as a,
From the 1920s generation. You're really enlightened.
anyway, then what do we put a nice program together with the kids as a picture? And
Maggie, are you listening?
You make it for the whole season, and then you create some information about that, what high school, what are they interested in getting their academics in, and just a little profile, so that people will have a little bit of understanding and knowledge of that particular player. And I think we really miss that, and maybe that's because when I go to Colorado State and I see Ryan's, they put together a really nice little program, but it's kind of for the guys and the girls, basketball, and I know volleyball does it too. And you sit down there and say, oh, there's number 3, name's Bobby, and graduated from Fort Collins High School, and then you have a little bit of relationship between you and that student.
So
You
I'll.
don't sit with your phone and look them up.
They
Yep,
also run
I'll,
a different budget than we do, so let's keep that.
Yep.
Like Colorado State Athletic.
I just use that.
and they might have 10 personnel in their marketing department to work on that too. But that's why marketing's part of our goal this year for athletics. Is we did hear that feedback. That was something that was brought to me multiple times. So one of the things that you're referencing is an overall media guide. I would love to get to that point where we have a media guide for all of our sports that has bios, that has background, that has the full schedules. We're a ways out from a media guide, but we are working on some options. It's already been a topic with me and Maggie. We are working on some options to have some hard copy programs. What's interesting about that is I went to regional meetings, and from the Region 9 standpoint, they're like, no hard copies, get rid of them. Gillette had it figured out because they did a QR code. So actually, the region wanted to come more our way and get rid of hard copy programs and move to the QR code that we had last year. So it's kind of it's an interesting dynamic, but we definitely want to service our community and meet them there too. So we're probably going to have both in the future. I don't know if we're there yet. The region is still emphasizing, yet. So the region is really emphasizing the QR code. We're hoping to have a mixture. So we'll have some hard copies printed and then some digitally as well. The QR code, the process is a little convoluted, and we'll continue to work on that. Maggie and I've been multiple conversations already. So we definitely hear that, and we do want to meet people's needs, and so we'll do our best to bring that forward.
Thanks. Trustee.
Real quick, Mr. Chair. So, are all 8 community colleges in the state of Wyoming now with full athletic programs? Or are just 7 and one just has one?
I would defer to Dr. Overlander on this too, but I think all of them have athletic programs with the exception of Sheridan, and Sheridan just has rodeo. All the others are complete athletic programs. So
Yes, you're correct.
Sheridan's the only one that has they just have rodeo. All the others, they're actually growing and adding, and we'll definitely get that. That'll be part of our strategic plan, is an outline of future growth in the athletic department. But and even at the NJCA level, we have uprising sports. So sports that are on the rise, like something like trap shooting is one of the new popular ones. Obviously, women's wrestling. There's some pieces that are growing athletically, and our opportunity there is pretty significant.
Yeah, so I would add to that 2 things. Coach Kadera at Thunder Basin is after me every time I see him. When are we going to add men's and women's wrestling? Not unlike a lot of other sports. But again, that's approximately 130 student athletes that are in our classes, filling our dorms. And to me, the most remarkable thing going back last year is they averaged over a 3.0 GPA. So, thank you. Any other questions for,
I just have a comment, and you kind of touched on it, but I'm a little biased. We need to get it out there so people can join the smaller 200. I've had so many people ask me, because volleyball's starting, how do I get to the Booster Club? And I say, well, go online, and a lot of people I'd like to are going online, people. Gotta get this to where people, or else someone's gotta be at the door and try to get memberships.
it is at the printer today.
Yes.
Literally at the printer today. We hope to have them all by week's end, and you're right. And we've
And if you
also,
can pass it on the Booster Club, it's gonna see a huge opportunity on the $200 fee.
And we have a plan next year that this is rolling out in January. Like we're gonna get this out well in advance next
so
year.
that's print maybe by the Pronghorn Booster Club Scramble in May, literally. So that's kind of the kickoff of our renewal campaign. So
And is it possible to pay your Booster Club membership online?
yes,
Yeah.
there is next year we'll have a QR code, but you can absolutely go to the foundation website. There is and you can pay for it. Actually, Trustee Wattsberger had it up prior to our meeting, and you can go online and pay it there.
Okay.
Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you, excellent job.
Thanks.
Enthusiasm is wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and for the sake of time, we're gonna try to move this along rather swimmingly. Accreditation update, Dr. Spriggs. Not just you, we're going forward.
Chairman Graff, trustees. Now, the president, she did mention a number of part of the roadmap, so I won't repeat the roadmap and where we're at with that. I did want to speak briefly in regards to our preparation for this step of the eligibility requirement submission. And if you can recall, since 22-23 academic year, we had approximately 50-some people really targeting these eligibility requirements, even though they may not have known what they were doing ahead of the time, and preparing for our submission for our first application. A lot of that information was already gathered in 22, 23, and we are smoothing it out now. And once again, have that leadership team, which we call the GRIP team, really spearheading that we're in a situation now where we got our first draft. We're on our second draft coming up in another week or so. Roger and myself, as well as Nicole. And Roger has brought a new dimension to this process, coming from the background of being a peer reviewer, and has really aided in this. So we're definitely blessed to have him, as well as the mock interview that we're going to be looking at coming up in October. This is all to prepare us to where those gaps may need to be and what we may need to do. We have what we call open office hours, where people can just come in, usually 2 hours block at a time, and really get any type of updates from Roger and I in regards to, are we on the right track? What does this question mean? What is the definition of this particular term? In order to ensure whenever we're at that stage of wrapping it up and speaking from one language, we'll probably have an English instructor look at that and pretty much review and edit that. So it is, instead of coming from 8 to 10 different people, it's coming from one viewpoint. So, as the president mentioned, the crosswalk that Roger's really developing is really to examine those eligibility requirements and how they relate to the criteria, okay, which will be our next step. And the more important piece of that is really to help educate the campus community as to how all this really ties together in order to prepare us for a continuous improvement process as we're moving along. So our target date of December 1st or 2nd, as well as I know that we mentioned as far as the mock review as well as the workshop in September, we're looking forward to putting it out in front of as many people as possible to get as much feedback in order for us to finalize before any type of submission. Any questions? You weren't prepared for that, were you? All right.
Any questions from the trustees?
I think that deserves an Olympic medal.
All right, thank you.
This is a great visual.
It is a great visual, and certainly, I would ask, is that the visual that is up, the roadway map graphic, is that available to the public on our website? Okay, thank you.
Trustees, I would point out that we already have 3 pages done. We only have 2 pages left to go in preparations. Just 2 pages left.
I know at one time we talked, excuse me,
No, please.
Chairman. One time we talked about having this blown up and in every building. So when people come to volleyball games in the Pronghorn Center, this road map, is it there?
It is not.
Would you maybe think about it?
I would be happy to, Trustee.
Thank you.
Think about it. We can have a little service as we are here.
Yes.
They can move, it's one of those booths.
That could be a little magnet Pronghorn.
Maybe so noted.
Well, I think we talked about putting one right across here.
Somewhere in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's going through a bit of a remodel though, so.
You have this space this weekend.
Moving on to the annual information technology report, Renee Collins. I don't know, and Barry, yeah, is Barry still here? No, sorry, Barry Langston, there he is, okay. Please.
Thank you. Okay, so, Chair McGrath, trustees, Dr. Overlander, thank you, Larson. I wanted to start off first by saying thank you for supporting our department. We've had some very aggressive objectives and goals, and we've been working really hard. So I wanted to say thank you for that. I also wanted to thank faculty and staff for their patience and support as we've been navigating this. As we're building the Gillette infrastructure presence and minimizing Sheridan's. This also has been a team effort, so I want to give a shout out to our Burley partners, Barry, and then also my team. So Cassandra Kern, Zane Hale, Tyler Buchan, they are not here. They are working really hard to try and make sure our classrooms are ready to go on Monday. Anyway, we can go ahead and start with our first slide here. Trustee Palmer, you had mentioned, kind of remembering where we've been. So we have this graphic up there. We've accomplished a lot. We've laid a foundation of, across campus. We started with installing network switches and firewalls across campus. Actually, 46 network switches and 84 access points across. And there is no longer any Sheridan Wireless on campus, so that's exciting for us. And we are continuing to migrate that infrastructure and the systems, minimizing Sheridan's footprint. Rodeo Arena and Area 59 are also completely Gillette College infrastructure. We are also continuing to build enterprise applications. So Onboard, and this is kind of a year in review, right? So Onboard was something that we brought in for you guys in January. Element 451, the CRM for enrollment services. Alertus, which is our emergency notification system that we did a great test. Ben did a great test for us on Monday of that system. And we are continuing to build our colleague environment. The last week and a couple weeks before that, we had a Lucian on site meeting with the student department to build out our test environment. And then we're testing the integrations. So testing the integration between the student test environment and Element 451 to make sure that we know what needs to happen when we are ready to go production. We also have many applications that are in progress. So we have Lucian Insights, Lucian Experience, Ethos User Provisioning, and those applications will give us reporting capabilities, they will give us some automation, and they will also give us a one-click portal opportunity, which falls in line with our strategic plan. On to the next slide, which is GLBA compliance, or I think of it from a security perspective. Over the last year, we did not have any major security events, which is always a positive. But we did have tickets, individuals reporting events, or we would get an alert on a device. So we did have those tickets in. We would do an investigation, and all of those came back with no compromise. We also are working on training. So it is a goal of ours, Barry and I, to build a strong culture of awareness and action through training and conversation. A goal of mine is when we do attack simulations that we have a 0% compliance, because that's what we really need to, where we need to be. So as we've been running attack simulations, I usually will select those that are at 20% expected compromise rate, and because I feel like that's what our user base may experience as well. When we did our very first one, our rate was 4%. As we've been doing these, we're at now 1.5%. So we are improving, and that is also increasing our targeted users by 40%. So I'm pleased with those numbers, but we still have room to improve. I still want to get to 0. Some of the areas that we focused on is credential harvesting, and so that's when the target supplies their username and password. Malware attachments, when someone opens an attachment that they shouldn't. A drive-by URL is a target enters or clicks on a URL and enters credentials. And then also the authorization consent, and that's when the target grants permissions. So we'll continue to do this. I see these as training opportunities for us to find out where our weak points are so that we know what we need to address. As a part of these, if a user does fail, they get an email saying, oh, you have just now been phished, you've compromised us, and by the way, here's some training, additional trainings. We'll also be going through all employee training. I'm working with HR to do our vector training as it relates to cybersecurity. That will be coming out, and we continue to monitor and audit. We do have a network/security administrator position open, hoping to fill that. And then some of these roles and actions, tasks will fall under that position as well. But anyway, we just know that we are continuing to monitor, audit, and train individuals. Next slide, please. So another aspect of this is kind of the endpoint. So those are the desktop computers. Just a couple years ago, we had one, and we have been increasing those regularly. We will also be adding in Apple and Android devices into our mobile device management system, where we're able to make sure updates are being applied, policies are being applied, and they are getting what they need to have on them, and then also where we can monitor. There is a section in there that does show not compliant. Not a significant concern for us right at this moment. The team has been doing a lot of new equipment, so that's what some of those are, or they're units that are no longer active, so it's just going back in and cleaning up those spaces, so, removing those devices. So, again, nothing concerning, but wanted to share that information with you. Also, last year we were able to send some staff to training and some conferences, and we will continue to be doing that as we go forward into this year. And that is all I had. We are having some technical difficulties. So Barry, I don't know if you had any comments that you wanted to add? I'm not sure.
You're on mute, Barry, by chance. I don't know if you can unmute yourself.
Can you talk through the teams?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Hi guys. Hey, no, I just wanted to reiterate what Renee and the team have done and how much they stepped up to making this transition go. From what I've seen from any other client I've ever worked with, any other institution I've been a part of, this has been a massive transition, and what they've accomplished is a mammoth endeavor, to say the least. And I just want to laud them and all they've done. And Renee's leadership, especially, she has taken the reins and pushed in a way that's been both edifying and encouraging. And never has it been, a sense of taskmaster or frustration. It's always been pushing along for the greater good. And I just want to make sure that she's acknowledged and appreciate that. And how much she's pushed to make sure that we are GLBA compliant. The point of this report is to give our annual, we are GLBA compliant, and the security that we put behind that, the things she put in place to make sure that happens with the phishing tests and those things, that they're not insignificant. And I've said this before, colleges are one of the largest targets for bad actors. We are pristine targets for identity theft. We have social security numbers that have never been used, and those are number one resources that people want to have. So I want to point out again that they're doing a fantastic job at Gillette.
Thank you. And stand for questions.
Yeah, I would say this to you, obviously going back to your first slide and its accomplishments along with the GLBA compliance, it obviously was a heavy lift. However, thank you to all that you, especially, and your entire team and Barry have accomplished. It is pretty earth-shattering and means a lot to this institution as well, so thank you.
Well, thank you. We've set a goal at the beginning of, and I was telling Dr. Oberlander this, on my desk I had, Gillette College ownership, minimal Sheridan, and that's what I look at every day, and that's where we're headed, and still have some work to do, but we're getting there, so, again, thank you.
Awesome.
What is Elementary School?
So it is a customer relation tool, so it allows enrollment services to watch a student from interest to graduation and even alumni. So it's a great tool to allow them to reach out to students and then follow them through the process.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. Anybody else?
Chairman Grant, the other thing that I would add is that Renee and I were reflecting, there's a lot that's happened in the last 3 years. And what I so appreciate about, our IT team is that it's always with a smile, no matter how difficult, no matter how frustrating the access has been, the printing has been. We're writing a book on that, in fact, we'll share the title at some point, but not today. The team just approaches with pure customer service at the heart of what they do, and it's so appreciated by myself and the rest of the campus, so thank you, and thank you very for all your help as well.
Thank you very much. I would add, and also, no matter how dumb the question is coming from the trustees, if I can't log on, can you help me again? So, thank you. All right. Moving on. Get back here. Moving on into old business. Second reading of policy 4000.1, awarding tenure. Dr. Oberlander.
Chair McGrath, trustees, this is the second and final reading for policy 4000.1, awarding of tenure, and it's an update to the policy. You had first reading, there were no edit suggestions on this, so there have been no changes to this since our last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. So it's been moved by trustee Palmer and seconded by trustee Gee to approve the second and final reading of policy 4000.1, awarding of tenure. Any further discussion?
Chairman Ralph, if I may. We probably have already talked about this, but if you could refresh my memory, because this is just clarification of process. It says that the chief academic officer will make the final recommendation to the president, who then makes a recommendation to the board of trustees about the award of tenure. So, but the president is really our only employee. So can you clarify for me then what the responsibility of the board of trustee is? Is it just like acknowledgement, ratification? Because we're really not the end point to say yay or nay.
Chair McGrath, trustee Wasserberg, you are the end.
Okay.
For yes or no on
Tenure.
So the recommendation will come up to my office. At my office, I have the authority to say yes or no, this person needs to go back, or yes, this person moves forward. At the last approval is the trustees who will.
Great question. Any others? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of policy 4000.1, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to new business.
Chair McGrath, trustees, really this is an opportunity for you to ask for Vice President Larson to give any clarifications you may have on the RFQ request for qualification for phase 2 of the NZ building. This is live, as you're aware, this is live out on the state site, and we expect to start receiving proposals soon if we haven't already. We have worked very closely with the state. The template that you see is a state template with all the legalities, all the statutes, et cetera, that we are required to follow. So with that, Vice President Larson.
Please.
Sure. Chair McGrath and trustees, good afternoon. Marty apologizes for not being able to be here today, but you have the RFQ, and I just wanted to point out a couple of things he wanted me to make sure you noticed. Page 5, first of all, it's published on publicpurchase.com. So if you know of anyone interested in submitting, that's where they should go. Page 5 has the basic qualifications we're looking for. A couple of things we noted are that the contractor must have experience in higher ed, projects in higher ed, and must have STEM spaces in their portfolio. So groups that have created STEM buildings or STEM spaces is going to be important. Page 6 has the timeline. We'll receive submissions by September 16th, is the last day. We'll put together an internal committee to sort through these. And the first week of October, 1st through 4th, we'll conduct interviews for the few that are chosen. And we anticipate executing a contract, if all goes well, within a couple weeks after those interviews. So we would like to use the state contract that the other colleges use, and Mr. Horning has a copy of that, so we will be looping him in when we get to that point, if not sooner.
Vice President Larson, just real quick.
Yes.
Who's conducting the interviews? Is there a committee put forth by the college?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
That's what I figured, but I want to be sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't say that. That's okay.
We have indicated in the RFQ that the team presenting the proposal must be the team working directly on the project. So don't send us your marketing and sales team, we want your engineers and your construction leaders and your architects. Just a good way to keep the communication 100% transparent from the get-go. Page 10 has the scoring system, and you'll see that we did, obviously, this chart comes from the state, so we do have the 5% for local. Marty anticipates that local firms will look to be subs rather than primes, but just depends, we'll see what we get. And that's really kind of all the highlights I have to share. We look forward to keeping you apprised as the process goes forward. Happy to answer any questions.
Yes, please, also.
Thank you. I'm just curious, is there somewhere in here that references the bonus in the qualification if they're a Wyoming resident?
Yes, I think it's on the list of numbers at the bottom has 5. So third from the bottom on this table on page 11. Geographic location, that's 5%. And then the next several bullet points talk about preference for Wyoming contractors.
I'm trying to remember the statutory percentage.
It's
5%?
Yeah. Which is what this would be, 5 points would be 5%.
In the scoring, is that?
Well, it's.
I thought it was a little different than that.
I think,
Please.
Sorry.
if I might, I think it's a little different in the sense that this is an RFQ.
Right.
And it's not a purchase.
Right.
And on the purchase, it's like 5%.
Right.
And I think in this particular case, I think again is, Vice President Larson pointed out, we follow the template of the state.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And so the state is based
Close
on,
as we can.
it's based upon a pointing system, not a percentage system.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else, trustees? Yes, please, Justice.
Just, again, well done, hats off, Vice President Larson, to you and to Marty. Does this ultimately, I guess, the selection come back to the board of trustees, or is that a selection done by, Mr. Chairman, how does that work in terms of when you determine here's who we want to work with?
President Oberlin, please.
Trustee McGrath, or Chair McGrath, I would go with what your recommendation is. This is a large project, so I would err on the side of bringing this back to the trustees and doing some review. I would also suggest to Vice President Larson that at least 1 or 2 trustees are not on our the selection committee are part of that. I think that's probably wise on our decision, especially this being the first bill that we'll be going through. So I think it's wise for us to do that.
So 2 things, trustee Gee just mentioned that we would authorize the spend, but my preference would be that you come back for a ratification, so to speak, of the recommendation by the board, or by the committee, excuse me, or adoption, yes.
Based on the timeline, that would happen.
Probably not until the November board meeting.
Depending on the timing that we do this, could be November.
Yeah, anticipated date for contract execution was 10/14, so
Could be.
could be maybe the October meeting, since
It's a tight timeline for that last 2 weeks to execute contract, given our experience executing contracts.
Let's see if we can get
Usually a lot of back and forth. And if I could just point out one typo I noticed this morning. I think on page 3 it talks about a deliverable by April 24. That's supposed to say 25. So Marty is going to issue a addendum to correct that. Just want to let you know in case you see that. We reviewed it multiple times. Missed that, but.
Any other questions? Vice President, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the approval of the spending authority for the WIP phase 3 spending. Dr. Oberlin.
Chair McGrath, trustees, this is similar to the request we made last year with phase 2 funding, rather than coming back for approval at every board meeting for expenditures for this particular grant. This money needs to be spent during this fiscal year. In fact, we're ready to purchase a trailer right now, pending this board approval. So we would just ask for the delegation of authority to be waived and for Vice President Larson to have permission to spend As outlined in the WIP Phase 3 grants, as you see in the report, so we have obligations, or we have money for CDL and workforce and then the nursing program. And so that's what we're seeking is permission for spending authority to move these grants forward, this particular grant.
Okay, so then I would request a motion to approve delegating all purchase authority to the chief financial officer for all budgeted CDL program and WIP Phase 3 funded equipment that needs to be purchased to fulfill the grant obligations for the amount of $484,687 for workforce development and $82,500 for the nursing program.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. So it has been moved by trustee Williams and seconded by trustee Anderson to approve delegating purchase authority to the chief financial officer for all budgeted CDL program and WIP Phase 3 funded equipment that needs to be purchased to fulfill the grant obligations for $484,687 for workforce development and $82,500 for nursing program. Any discussion on that?
It's exciting.
Excellent. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. As a side note, my daughter's boyfriend, he actually went through the CDL program here at Arizona College and passed, so he's pretty excited. Yes. Moving on, committee reports, upcoming WACT webinar, excuse me.
Chair McGrath, trustees, no, trustee, do you want to talk to this? So WACT is hosting a webinar tomorrow to do a recap of the primary elections. So not only for our area, but for the state. And so as we prepare for the legislative session, this will be good information for you. I'm happy to re-forward the invitation if you need to register. But you do need to register so you can get access to the webinar. So happy to resend that for you.
Moving on to public comment, is there, I don't see anybody on the paper.
Yes, our committee for it's not on your motion agenda. You just need to appoint the art committee to fill that.
Oh, the art committee, there it is. Okay, there it is. The art committee appointments, we've had some discussion on fulfilling the art, of which the trustees all gave money and I think most, or if not all, was matched during the Ohio Gives.
16% was matched because that
Okay,
was a
that's
lot.
what can be matched. So, thank you to the foundation for that. And looking for volunteers who are willing to serve. I think I've had some individual conversations. Trustee Smith, Trustee Wasberger, Trustee Anderson. So that makes 3.
Second.
Seconded, so it's been moved and seconded to volunteer Trustee Smith, Trustee Wasberger, and Trustee Anderson to be on the art committee. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for your willingness to do that. Take good art.
Keep that place in mind right there.
Exactly. My apologies on this. Moving back to the public comments. I didn't see, but is there anybody in the audience that would like to come forward? Okay. Upcoming events. We had the meet and greet last night. Just as a quick side note, tomorrow, August 22nd, the men's and women's soccer host their first home games right here on the pitch. Men against Snow College, very tough contest. Women against Seward County. So if you're free, game times 80 Raybeck.
11 and 1.
11 to 1.
The men are first at 11 and the women are at 1.
So bring your water bottles for the 90 and your umbrellas for the 90-degree heat, and but come support your pronghorns. It's good to go. Big day on Friday, August 23rd, the Gillette College Golf Scramble. Just to make sure, it is an 8 a.m. shotgun. There was a little confusion with the Golf Pro Cameron that it was posted at 1 p.m., but just make sure you know it is an 8 a.m. shotgun. Always a blast. I think you're full, right? Yes. And again, I think the Big Thing classes begin on Monday, and then August 27th, Community Bridge Lighting right here, 6 to 8:15. Super exciting. It's been stained, and now we have new lights going on, and it'll be a lot of fun in the back patio.
And trustees, we will have a fact sheet too. I know that's something that you all have asked for. And I've got multiple samples of that, and so we'll have a fact sheet too. So people ask you talking points about enrollment, those types of things. We'll have those facts there. So she'll have that by Friday.
Excellent. Some further ability opportunities for some meet and greets and welcome back students. I'm not gonna go over every event, so.
Chairman Graff, the only thing I would point out is on September 23rd, we proposed a date for an accreditation workshop. 5:30 are the trustees in agreement with that? If so, we need to get that posted and advertised.
Take a minute, check your calendar. It's a Monday.
It's a Monday.
The 23rd accreditation, I think we said 5 to 5:30. Is that
Yeah, till
10, 10:30 at night? No, I'm just kidding.
I would say the latest we would go would be 5:30 to 7.
So 5:30.
Does that seem to work for everybody on the board? All right. So,
And this is where we'll do a walkthrough of the draft, one of the final drafts of the eligibility filing before we do a mock peer review.
excellent. I'm glad that day worked. 5:30 to 7-ish. Okay. Anything else on the upcoming events? Okay. Absolutely. Well, we are gonna move into an executive session, for Wyoming State Statute 16-4-405, A2. We will have some action coming out of that, so for those that would like to hang around, you're more than welcome to. If you don't, certainly. So I would entertain a motion to enter, or adjourn, no, not to adjourn, to enter into our executive session.
second, third.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Wasserberger and Gee. It's been motioned by trustee Wasserberger and second by trustee Gee to enter into, executive session. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Thank you. Okay, we'll take a quick 5-minute break for